Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We're on episode 11 of season 1 of Bungo Stray Dogs. And usually around episode 11, I get really sad because I'm like, oh no, the end of the season's next episode. But we got 3 seasons of these bad boys, so I'm not sad. I'm excited. I am so excited. So, last episode, episode 10, I really liked that episode. It was very shonen-y, very the OP fight between Akutagawa and Atsushi, but I think more than the battle itself, it was establishing the two characters of Akutagawa and Atsushi, their relationship with Dazai, how Dazai is very different from Port Mafia Dazai to Agency Dazai, and also establishing Chuya and the idea of F. Scott Fitzgerald, the Great Gatsby, which I don't know why I kept saying Frederick in the last reaction. I think I was just hardcore stuck on Frederick, but it's Francis Scott Fitzgerald. We talked a little bit about the Great Gatsby, and I'm so curious how it's going to translate to an ability, because there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of different themes and ideas that go on in the Great Gatsby, and I talked a little bit about it last episode. I think if I was going to add anything to it, it's the idea that Gatsby is, we have our narrator of the story, and then we have Gatsby as a character. And Gatsby as a character, Jay Gatsby, is quite an unreliable character in The Great Gatsby. Is very much an actor in a lot of ways, and I'm wondering if that plays into the ability. As far as F. Scott Fitzgerald goes, the actual author, Fitzgerald wrote so many books and a lot of the themes of Fitzgerald's work were discussing the life of the rich and powerful and how they kind of fell from grace. And it was very reminiscent of the Depression and kind of the idea of the big boom and then the fall from grace of all these rich people that came after it. And so Fitzgerald had a lot of that. He also had a very estranged relationship with his wife Zelda, who was also a writer. And so I'm curious, we don't see anybody with Fitzgerald on the boat in the last episode, but I'm wondering if there's going to be a female character tied to him that'll be kind of like a representation of Zelda. Because she was pretty prolific and a really, prevalent writer at the time, just like Fitzgerald was. So I'm very, very curious if we're going to get anything like that. So instead, since I can't think of anything about The Great Gatsby other than what we already know, it's a very popular Western story, I decided, as a request from a fellow commenter here on YouTube, they asked me to research Ichiyo Higuchi, who does not have an ability in the show that we know of yet. But they commented and said that Higuchi was a pretty prevalent writer in Japan and that it would be kind of cool to research her. And I'm really glad that I did, because she's really cool. I did not realize that Ichiyo Higuchi is on the Japanese bill and died at the age of 24. At the age of 24. That's so young. That's so young. Born in May 2nd, which is my brother's birthday, in 1872, and died November 23rd in 1896. So only lived 24 years, was the daughter coming from a samurai family, was a prolific diary writer, and wrote so much and became one of the most important writers of the Meiji period, which I think is so, so cool. Like, her work had a huge impact on Japanese literature. And to think that someone as young as her, and being a woman in the late 1800s, like having that much of an impact is just really, really cool. And so I think it's neat that we have a character in Bungo Stray Dogs that's named after her. And I'm wondering why, because you would think, as important of a character, as important of a woman in Japanese literature as Higuchi is, why would we give her name to a character that doesn't even have an ability that we know of? I find that curious. That makes me think that Higuchi's character, because right now she's been kind of portrayed as just kind of Akutagawa's, minion or fellow colleague. Like, she hasn't been given a huge role other than sitting by the phone and making sure that she answers that phone. But I'm like, why would you give this side character an important name like that of an important Japanese writer if you weren't going to do something with her later on? So I'm going to hold off my reservations. Don't spoil me. But reading this insight into this author, I was like, that is interesting. And so she's got a lot of different known works. Of her known works, the ones that have translated titles: Flowers at Dusk, A Snowy Day, The Sound of the Kodo, Encounters on a Dark Night, On the Last Day of the Year, Children's Play, Growing Up, Troubled Waters, Separate Ways, or The Parting of the Ways. Like, she's got a bunch of well-known works here, but I just think that's really, really interesting. that she became this famous writer and died at such a young age. So I'm hoping that doesn't mean bad things are going to happen with Higuchi in the show. But yeah, I just find that really cool. So that makes me want to put her on alert for now. Like, just tuck it away in the back of my brain. Like, she's named after this very prolific Japanese writer. So how intriguing. Like, you would think that they would, especially with the titles of the stories like those, that they'd give a character with an important gift those powers. But I don't know. So, in any case, I'm very curious to see the aftermath of this episode and what all we end up with. Like, what are we going to do? Because as far as we know, Dazai isn't free yet. He's pretty much gotten Chuya to go away to chase after all the letter writers and to try to get that flame diffused. But we don't know if Dazai has escaped yet, and Kyoka has taken Atsushi with Kunikita, and they've escaped for the moment. So I'm thinking Akutagawa is not going to be in a good place, considering all the collateral damage that he caused and the fact that he let the weretiger get away. I'm thinking that's not going to be good. And as we've established, Akutagawa is not quite as infallible and high up as it seems. He's had to rise up the ranks from nothing and is pretty prone to emotional outbursts, as we've seen in the last episode as well. So I'm really curious what we're going to get. And the title of this episode is ridiculous. It's first, an unsuitable profession for her. Second, an ecstatic detective agency. Why is that episode title so long? I'm so curious. But yeah, so Higuchi and the commenter actually left that comment back with episode 8, and they were saying how Higuchi was kind of the opposite of Yosano. And I kind of get that, because Yosano, she has to hurt people to heal them in a way, but she is kind of motherly and values life and wants to save life. And then you cut to Higuchi in episode 3, where she's just battering a machine gun around in a circle trying to kill everything. And it's like, yeah, they are kind of different, aren't they? So I'm excited for episode 11, y'all. It's a penultimate episode for season 1. I feel like ever since episode 8, this season has really picked up. And I liked episodes 6 and 7. I liked episode 5. I've liked a lot of the episodes, and episode 3 was really good. I've liked the episodes, but since episode 8, I've been really, really excited to see each new episode, and this one is no exception. So I've rambled enough. Let's start this episode here, y'all. I hope you guys enjoy the reaction. And yeah, we're going to start episode 11 of Bungo Stray Dogs here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Born back ceaselessly into the past. Ooh. 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 Oh my. I am excited, y'all. Very, very excited. So, okay, so Dazai did get back. Oh, yeah, everybody seems to be doing okay, Dazai, so no worries. This episode was really good. And it was so unusual. But, okay, so there's two factions to talk about. That makes sense for the long title. I said this in the ED, but I want to believe that maybe the stuff with Akutagawa and Higuchi was like the aftermath of episode 10 in the manga, and was just the aftermath and everything happening that's maybe going to lead into the season finale. But the season finale is called Born Ceaselessly into the Past, so it sounds like we're going to get some background info. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And then this other part with Kenji seemed like a side story before we get to the stuff in the finale. We're going to talk about Kenji because, oh my god, how wonderful. But, I'll be honest, guys, I was requested by a YouTube commenter to review Higuchi, and so I did, because I was like, I didn't have anything to talk about this episode about The Great Gatsby. I was like, well, there's not much I can add about The Great Gatsby. I'll just go ahead and review Higuchi while I'm thinking about it, and that sounds interesting. Little did I know this whole episode, half of it would be centered around her, so what a pleasant surprise. But I've got it pulled up here, going back to it. Man, so from the sound of things, I'm glad Kyoka has been accepted into the agency, that the president's okay with that. That's good. Good on you. Glad that she's going to get a chance to prove herself. But it looks like while Kyoka has been accepted into the agency, it looks like Akutagawa is getting the boot along with Higuchi. Which, first of all, let it be known that it's good that your association has a Yosano on hand, because Yosano being able to heal them all in the agency is a pretty handy technique when you consider that in the Port Mafia side of things, like Akutagawa is like in a coma, severely injured because they can't heal him, and Higuchi having to go up there and talk with this mysterious man, which I didn't talk about this at the beginning of the episode. I'm sure by now you all have commented on it. I don't think Fitzgerald is a member of the Port Mafia. I think he's a member of an organization that's different than the Port Mafia, a different gang. So I forgot to mention that in the episode. But this shady looking man in the shadows with the creepy, sinister child, he seems like the leader of the Port Mafia. So I'm curious to know what his connection with Dazai is. Very curious. But let's get to them, shall we? Because Higuchi, we start out, after the opening credits, that Akutagawa is in all this state of disarray. And the leader of the Port Mafia is basically like, this is his punishment for failing. It's the price he paid for failing his mission. And it's like, oof. And Higuchi just has to stand there in front of him while this little girl's drawing her creepy drawings, and he's like, well, he may not regain consciousness. And man, and that line, the line from the boss here where he's like, oh, don't worry, you all did your best. You did your best. You did fail in attacking the agency, and you failed in capturing the $7 billion weretiger, and you sank a transport ship, but you did your best, didn't you? Ugh, that's like so creepy. And effort is what's important. Results come second. Ugh, isn't that right? And she's like, no, it's not right. And this creepy little girl drawing drawing Akutagawa just with his head cut off. I wonder if she has an ability, this little girl, and if it's tied to her drawing, because that would be kind of sinister. It's pretty creepy, I'm not gonna lie. And he says, listen, Higuchi, the Mafia are in the end an act of commerce that employs violence as its currency. And it is allowed to desire and kill anything and anyone. And we don't get to really see his face. Retaliation in kind is a matter of expenditure and liability. And that girl draws a line over the table. And they basically are like, Akutagawa's a liability. So, and they're like, yeah, he's competent, but what about you? Are you competent? And she's like, oh. And I feel for her because she doesn't have an ability. So they're like, are you really suited for this job? And she's like, and she really, from the sound of it, is only in this position because she likes Akutagawa. Like, she likes him. And he's her boss. And it's that really, it reminds me a lot of Hawkeye and Riza from Full Metal Alchemist, especially, and Higuchi kind of looks like Riza, so that kind of helps too. But the idea that they're working, that Akutagawa's her boss or her colleague, and she's working with him and for him, but she's really doing it because she likes him. Like, that's very, very intriguing. And I like Black Lizard, our Team Rocket. They stepped up this episode. They were all intimidating, but in the end, they're like, nah, we're going to rescue you, girl. You're one of us. You're our friend. I'm like, man, you guys, being our little dark agency, our dark opposite, what is that in Stranger Things? Upside down version of the agency. I like it. I like it a lot. And I like that she cares a lot for him, and he's very much like not even focused on helping himself. He just has this one end goal in mind. And he's like, you don't understand what I'm going through. And again, because Akutagawa is totally a tsundere, he's like, I just want Dazai to notice me and to acknowledge me, and he's not doing it, so I'm going to make all this destruction and make the biggest beacon I can so I can get his attention. And Higuchi's like, but I'm supposed to help you, so what am I supposed to do? And then he's like, I don't need your help. And I like that he apologizes at the end to her, because he did need her help. And she did risk her life to save him. So I appreciate that she did that for him. Oh my gosh. And these mercenaries, I don't know why they kidnapped Akutagawa, except, well, he has a very good ability, so I guess that would make sense. But I guess they want him for his ability. But I mean, Higuchi's not wrong. She's like, if we have to save him, she's like, I have to save him because at this point, he is a lost cause with the Port Mafia. They don't care. He's damaged goods. He's not worth their time. So they're just like, dispose of him, get rid of him. She's like, and I know the writing is on the wall. I'm next on the chopping block. Like that little girl drawing the line on the table was like, this is our side and that's your side. So she's like, if I don't rescue him now, I'm going to regret it. And even if it is suicide, it's basically I'm going to die either way. So I either die trying to save someone I care about, or I stick with the Port Mafia and they kill me anyway because they don't think I'm of any use anymore. So I get it, and I love that the Black Lizard comes in and helps her, but my question is, where does that leave us? So I don't imagine the Black Lizard is leaving the Port Mafia, since they're a big faction of it. So I wonder if the Port Mafia is going to let Higuchi and Akutagawa back in, or if Akutagawa and Higuchi are going to go rogue. I don't think they're going to go rogue, but if they did, I guess it wouldn't surprise me. But I really like Higuchi's character in this episode. Like, the last time we saw her was really episode 3, and she was this cold, heartless, well, Akutagawa called her a bitch. He's like, she's this cold, heartless wench, but in reality, no, she legit cares for him and, like, risked her life to save him. And I think that's so, so cool. Like, she got injured, but then when that little soft look she gives when she's like, you're bleeding, and she has her little napkin with the maple leaves on it, and he's like, I'm sorry about all this. Like, he feels bad that she got put through all that because of him. Like, it's a little growth there, Akutagawa, recognizing. And I like that they're all like outside letting her have this moment with him. They know she likes him. It's like, oh, it's my job. So that was really good. I really like that. I feel like, if anything, the creepy leader of the Port Mafia and that sinister girl, she gives me such bad vibes. I feel like they're going to have a more integral part of the story later on, maybe in the season finale leading into season 2. And I feel like Higuchi and Akutagawa are in a very interesting place now too, because they're kind of like on the line of, are we still with the Port Mafia? Are the Port Mafia ready to abandon us? What's going to happen? And then we get this story with Kenji. And look, just a little note about myself. I was raised on a farm. My family has cattle. We have lots of cows. Ushijima from Haikyuu, I relate so much to him because of his seemingly, the fandom has the rural background thing with him and Kita. I can relate to Kenji so much. I can relate to Kenji so much because, I don't know, I guess if you've been raised on a farm and you've been around farm animals, the stuff he's saying is hilarious, but I've also heard people say similar things in real life, and I'm like, no, you're not wrong. It's so good. I love it. And I love the idea that he's in the city and he's so happy. And he's so sincere. Like, he's just a sincere person. He's like, no, it's fine. This is how we're going to, Rampo will be able to solve the case right away, but let's just go ask him. Let's just go do it. And his, like, kind of like rural, simple kindness is actually, like, allows it to be his strength. And I love that everyone in the town kind of knows him and they rely on him to fix things for them and give him food and stuff. And he's like, I'm just happy to do it. Like, he's such a nice character. He just happens to have insane strength when he's hungry. Oh my god, what was one of those lines? There, because Atsushi, I love that it was originally supposed to be Tanizaki that was going with him, and Kunikita's like, no, Atsushi's impressionable. Don't leave him with Kenji. He's not a good role model. It's like, yes, please. Oh my god, where is that one line? The part about the cows killed me. I just absolutely loved it. And he's like, those are clearly the people at fault. Why aren't we stopping them? And Kenji's like, oh, they said that they didn't know anything. And oh my god, that line, be it with a cow or a person, be it with a village or a city, if you are sincere, you can communicate with others. And And then the line about eating cows, he's like, I love cows. I love communicating with them. I love being with them. I love eating them. It's like, I relate 100% to this character. This, if I was a character in this show, I would be Kenji. I think I would be. Amazing. And then, of course, he just lifts up a car and beats the snot out of him. Oh my gosh. That's just, I absolutely love it. I love that this whole season, Atsushi has slowly made his way throughout the story. He's made his way and interacted with all these different characters and gotten these different perspectives. And if he's influenced the most by Kenji, that's going to be wonderful. I mean, obviously not, but I love that Kunikito worries about that. He's like, no! Kenji's perspective's too unique! Atsushi's too gullible! He's too impressionable! This was just an amazing... This is a really good episode. I really enjoyed this. It set up a lot of things. We got Kenji's character finally explained. I think he's the last one of the group to get explained in terms of his power, which is fitting because we're about to end season 1 next episode. The thing with Akutagawa and Higuchi, their whole relationship, the slightly ominous inner workings of the Port Mafia, that's all gearing up to hopefully impact the rest of the story. And then, yeah, Dazai's been chilling in his apartment, drinking sake and eating crab the last day. So he's like, I'll go back to work tomorrow. They've not been questioning me. I love it. I absolutely love it. This episode, for being such a departure from the last couple of episodes and being the penultimate episode before the season finale, it's a very odd episode, but I really, really enjoyed it. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this reaction. I'm super excited to see what happens in the season finale. The whole thing, where was our preview? It was our preview. We didn't really have a lot. It was just Dazai, right? Our preview ended with just Dazai. We didn't really get anything for the next episode. It was just Dazai back in his apartment with Snow Crab and sake, just chilling, reading a book, drinking copious amounts of sake and crab and eating crab. But yeah, there's no preview. It's just no preview. Just the next episode is born back ceaselessly into the past. So I'm wondering, is that going to be like a lot of flashback episodes? Or, I don't know. This is the first time we haven't gotten a proper flashback, or a proper preview, which concerns me. Especially since it's the season finale. We shall see, I guess. But in the meantime, y'all, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. Please no spoilers in the comments below. But I'm so hyped up for the season finale, and we're going to get that next week. So in the meantime, have a great week, guys, and I'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye.